Hey, Sahar Galt here, and I'm going to show you an uncommon technique for expanding your palette of drum sounds. Let's get to it. The first step to creating new drum sounds is to stop thinking narrowly about what a drum can be. Just about anything can be percussive, and to find the beauty, excitement, and energy in sounds that most people wouldn't think twice about, well, that's a lot of fun. Now, I quite like to record my own sounds, and I encourage you to explore your own space and see what you have available to you that might not have been on your radar as potentially musical. But a company called AudioBlocks has generously offered to sponsor this video, and since they offer a free 7-day trial, we can actually work from the same source material. You can do exactly what I'm doing on screen. This gives us the perfect opportunity to mine their library of sounds for things we can use to create unique and epic drums. So I'm currently browsing their sound effects library, and these are their assorted categories. But I already have a pretty good sense of what I'm hoping to find. Let's try, say, the sound of somebody slamming a door. And as we browse the results, I'm going to tell you what I'm looking for in terms of source material, okay? Big metal door, I like the sound of that. It's a good sound, but the noise floor is too high. We're not going to use it. I don't really want to deal with the creak. This one's a possibility. Obviously, too much atmospheric noise. Ooh, I like that. That's the one. Obviously, we want the WAV file. That's it. These sounds are royalty-free, which means we're allowed to use them in our projects. See, something like this is already heavily processed, and it'll limit what we can do with it. Perfect. Amazing. It's got a built-in rhythm, a complex tone. This is what we're looking for. Okay, let's try something else. Here's an obvious but beautifully percussive sound. Wood chopping. Not the most satisfying wood chop, but I like the metallic sound in there. Yeah, that's a nice sound. I don't like the reflections. Yeah, I can probably do something with that. I really like this sound. The boinginess has got to go, but that's easily done. I'll show you how. Yeah, beautifully mic'd, a really diverse sound, fun to listen to. Okay, now how about some things crashing into other things? Car drop? Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't foresee myself miking up my car crashing anytime soon, so this is gonna have to hold me over. I also really love industrial sounds, like actual sounds of industry. This is one area where the atmospheric noise is percussive, rhythmic, and awesome. Artificial. There's no doubt I can use this, but probably not a percussive sound. Yeah, that sounds great. Totally can use it. Yeah, it's got a nice musical rhythm already. It's a well-mic'd sound, very focused, perfect. So here are all the sounds we chose. And I think I want to start with that wood sound. Has the kind of boingy middle. Remember, it sounds like this. And the tool you'll use most often for this kind of work is an equalizer. I love Pro Q. And I want to cut out this low mid-range stuff. I like the sound of the lows and the highs, but what's in the middle is just boingy and sounds like unintentional reverberation. Let's get kind of extreme with a notch filter. Let's get the steeper curve too. There we go. No sense in going over 0 dB. Let's trim the gain a little. Now this would make a really interesting, powerful kick drum. And I'll show you a nice way to manipulate the low-end sustain. This is a multi-band envelope shaper, and this allows us to control the attack and sustain across different frequency bands. So we can get the tail of just the low end reverberating for a longer amount of time. Let's see if we can get a little bit more click out of this. What would be like the beater sound in an actual kick drum? So this brings up the transient, that initial attack. And this works best in the frequency band between 3K and 10K. This area. Subtle, but it brings into focus what's important in the sound. We'll bounce this. It's our long reverberating kick. With kick drums, I don't want to deal with a stereo file, so I do the mono down mix. Now we'll make a snappier, shorter kick by diminishing the sustain in the lows. Perfect. For your drum sounds to be at all useful, you'll usually want a couple versions of them. Otherwise, rhythms will start to sound robotic. Okay, let's look at our wood chopping sounds. We've got a hatchet and an axe. Now that hatchet sound, I think I could make a kind of interesting hi-hat out of just by isolating that metallic high end. But I'm more curious how these sounds will layer. That's nice. I like that. What if we flam them a bit? Yeah, definitely. That's how it's got to be. There are some extraneous frequencies we don't need, and instead of equalizing these separately, let's just group them and do it in one fell swoop. Get them routed, and let's get an instance of ProQ up. And I don't really want this to be terribly recognizable as wood chopping, although that's probably a genre waiting to be born. I'm thinking of this as something that would fulfill the role of a snare drum. So I'm cleaving away useless low end, dimming some of the air and reverberance that seems to be showing itself in the high end. And I'm not loving this knocking sound. Shortly after massive deforestation, we can do a gain-matched comparison. It's good. Less messy, a little more ambiguous on what the source is, and full of character. I can use this. Let's bounce it down. Time for the card drop. A really diverse, complex sound like this makes for wonderful sub-booms. All of that complexity translates to a kind of churning, roiling low end when we do an aggressive high cut. That's nice already. You can play with the cutoff to get more complexity or a simpler rumble. But we can get a really cool, cinematic sound if we send it to a long tail reverb. Right? Fix the clipping. Bounce it. And there's one more thing I want to show you. Remember the wood crackle sound? This is made to be percussive. Not in a big thunderous sense, obviously, but in a ticking pulse kind of a way. So we're just going to isolate all the peaks. And I'm going to very quickly cobble together a simple 16th note group. Awesome. It flutters, feels great. Okay, and now I've got all of our processed sounds in here. I made a few variations on the car drop. Really couldn't help myself. And we've got our two kicks, the snappy short one and the one with a bit more ring in the low. Our chop, the door rhythm sound, which I cleaned up on my own time. The ticky rhythm we made from the crackling wood, and a kind of textural thing I made with the same sound. And we definitely have the strangest drum kit of all time, but that's what I love about it. And we've got a few of the major pieces nailed. So I'm going to start arranging sounds to make a kind of drum beat. Use the long kick on one, the short one in between. We get something musical. Right, clearly going to need to mute some things for the moment. Definitely like the door rhythm to play a pivotal role here. It's almost perfect, but we're going to have to do a little bit of surgery, cut up the peaks, and pull them into time. I think I probably would have preferred to make the project match the tempo of that rhythm and build the beat around what naturally occurred, but we are where we are. Roughly in time, let's see what we get. Yeah. Get the wood chop into some sensible place. Yeah, it's very enjoyable. This is probably worth extending out to a full one-beat pattern, so let's take the kick out there. I think I can use this textural chunk almost as a kind of closing the hi-hat sound. Just a little shorter. That's a powerful and unique sounding drum kit. You can use it by itself or layer it with more traditional drums. And don't forget the sub-booms for emphasis. Achieved this simply by thinking creatively about sound and what can be percussive. Again, I'd really encourage you to explore your own space for sounds to record. Think about your instruments unconventionally and be a part of making everything around you a little more musical. Okay, I hope we've got you thinking creatively about how to make new drum sounds. If you have any questions, ask me in the comments. Make sure you subscribe so you catch my future videos. And as always, thanks for watching. I'm Sahar Galt. I'll see you next time.